SEA. Now, we know SEA is a major exam here in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean. We know our young people are under tremendous pressure to perform well, to go into a good school, as we call it, a good school, and we'll unpack that in this interview. And because of that, we know that we need to inspire them, to help them, to motivate them. So our next guest has a wonderful initiative called Motivate Me to SEA. Joining us via Zoom is Garlene Hicks, an educator and student empowerment coach. Garlene, welcome.
Good morning, Dominique.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So let's unpack SEA. Now, SEA, from my memory, my own experience, SEA was a difficult time. It was a lot of pressure. Talk to us about that and you know what these students kind of go through around that time.
Well, of course, I mean, in my time, it was common entrance, so I'm probably giving out my age here. But, there was always that pressure to do well and to excel, and then, of course, to get accepted to a school that you deemed, high standard school, prestige school, if you want to use that term. And, there was always that pressure to do well and to excel. So that in itself, there was lots of anxiety surrounding that. And I think today, we've been seeing a lot of and hearing a lot of children who speak about the same level or maybe even more levels of anxiety that they experience while preparing for the examination. Yeah. So I think the pressure it's still on, very much so.
Yeah. I mean, talk to us now about Motivate Me to SEA. How this initiative came about, as well as the SCA John 100 initiative as well.
Yes, so the Motivate Me to See it's I would say a second leg of the initiative. SCA 100. SCA 100, that really emerged from, it was a workshop that I conducted for SCA kids, and I realized that I wanted to reach more children. So the following year I decided the best way to possibly do that is to create a Facebook group. Okay. So that became SCA 100, and that was 100 days of resources for children posted on Facebook so they can access together with their parents. And the C, SEA, really means, at least the acronym that I'm using, is self-emotion awareness. So the entire program, the Facebook group, when that started, every single day the students would be able to learn more about themselves, learn more about their emotions, learn more about their reactions, or how they can actually minimize anxiety and that sort of thing. So it was really just allowing the child to become more self-aware. So that was SCA 100. Right. And I just wanted this to impact students continuously. So I thought, with the assistance of some of my dear colleagues, they said, listen, we are going to create this into an ebook. So we created the ebook that children can have access to even after that SCA 100 Facebook group ended. Wow. So this is now sort of a spin-off this year, and I just changed the name a little bit, Motivate Me to See, but it's similar content. Yeah. And this one is on a shorter scale. So this one is for the month of March. The SCA 100 actually was 100 days. This one started at the beginning of March, and it's going to go until, SCA is on the 29th. Right. So they have a month of these resources in this group.
Yeah. So we definitely will get that information on where persons can access that Facebook page. But talk to us about the significance of becoming self-aware, especially at that age. Self-awareness, even social emotional learning. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So social emotional learning, allowing a child to understand their emotions, understand how they react, understand how their bodies react, that is really crucial, and it affects so many different facets of life. It allows the child to be able to communicate a little bit more, to understand what they are feeling, and also to not be not be affected as negatively if they can understand what is happening, why they're experiencing anxiety, for example. Right. a lot of research has shown that, learning about yourself for the child, it also impacts their academic performance. So here we are sort of having a foundation that can also improve their academics, because they are not going to feel as overwhelmed or as anxious if they are aware of certain tools and techniques that they can use to minimize those uncomfortable feelings. And I think as adults, we go through anxiety, many of us, and it can be debilitating. So imagine for a child who is now under so much pressure for this exam, and they're not understanding what's going on and how they're supposed to cope. So this
Yeah.
is really helping the child to gain awareness of themselves, and in so doing, they can regulate themselves, they can manage their emotions, and they can just all around be just happier children,
Yeah.
and they can have a better learning experience even throughout this stressful time.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned that aspect of it with children, feeling anxious. And us as adults have these same feelings too. As a child, parents, kind of say, well, children don't have anything to worry about. You don't have to see about all these things. You just have to focus on your schoolwork. Just focus on your schoolwork. But sometimes that's a really big deal. Talk to us about how receptive the parents were in the first leg of this before, to the learning resources that were posted, because I'm sure some of them are now, unlearning things and learning now how to
Yes.
cope and how to maneuver and navigate this life with their child.
Absolutely. Well, when we did the CJUN 100, I was so pleased that there were several teachers, and a few of them would have reached out to me, and they indicated that they were actually using the program within their classroom.
Okay.
And that was really one of my intentions, because as an educator myself, I know how helpful it can be to have additional resources.
Yeah.
So there were teachers that reached out to me, and there was one occasion I actually popped into one of the classrooms and did a session with the children. So that was lovely. And you had parents also telling me how appreciative they were, because they were able to be a part of the process and engage with their children. And that is really one of the objectives as well of this program. I want parents to know that their role is crucial. They have a serious role to play, and they can also become involved in this journey. And really, a lot of these skills that we're developing, it's not just for the children.
Yeah.
Parents have said to me that they have been able to learn about their own thoughts and how that impacts their mood and their behavior and that sort of thing. So this is not just something that is going to cater to the SEA children and that's it. This is going to have ripple effects, and all the stakeholders involved will also be hopefully positively impacted.
Now, you've been an educator for 20 years. I mean, and you are so passionate about what you're doing and, instilling these key goals and these key components in children. What keeps you going, for this period of time and beyond? What motivates you?
Well, I have seen, because I've been in the education system for so long, this year will be 20 years, September. So I have always had an interest in two things, education and psychology. So within teaching, it's not just about academics. In my mind, I don't just see that as my role. I see my role as instilling much more than just, academics and the drilling the curriculum. Of course, very important. But I have seen firsthand the impact of these other skills and developing these skills in my students. So that has been one of the main things that has motivated me, because I've seen the positive influence and I've seen the eagerness of children to learn about themselves. I don't know if you remember, as a student, anytime the teacher sidetracked to something else outside of what was on the curriculum, everybody got quiet and they were listening. So that happens a lot in my classes, because I'm always talking to these children, always trying to get them to sort of be more critical in their thinking, to process their thoughts, to understand consequences. So it's, I've seen the significance of that, and I know for me that has been a true motivator for all these years.
I want you to go into some advice that you could give to teachers, teachers who maybe, because I mean, they've been teaching for years, they've been doing like one particular way, it's worked that way. But we know it's an ever-changing society. The generation that's coming up now is different from the generation that existed before, which means the learning patterns, what they're exposed to is different. What advice would you give to teachers in terms of, relearning and learning about this new generation, incorporating technology and all of these different things into it?
Well, really, I would just like to tell them, be open. Be open, because we are experiencing, it's a very different generation. And I am seeing the drastic difference from when I started almost 20 years ago to now. Our children are exposed to so much more. The technology has exposed them and to so much more. I mean, we came out of online teaching. I mean, let's be real. We had to go through that for a period of time. So I know that all our teachers realize that we are in a different time. So I think being open and receptive and utilizing resources. We have so many resources online that could help us and facilitate new ways of doing things. So it's just a matter of receptivity, being open, and just maintaining, our mission in terms of, ensuring that these children not only learn academically, but are able to go into society and contribute effectively. And they can do that when they know about themselves and they understand themselves.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice.
Right. In terms of parents and then children themselves, the children who be doing SCA, for parents who because sometimes you have parents, I remember in my year in SCA, there were parents who would not have had knowledge of how to help. They may not be able to help with the maths or help with the English.
Exactly.
And you as a parent, you're supposed to be the person that's guiding and teaching and correcting, but you feel helpless. What advice would you give to them in terms of, being open to accessing external help, whether it's lessons, whether it's joining the Facebook group, getting help for themselves? What would you say to them?
Well, again, as well, they too have to, be aware that maybe they may not be able to help with the academics or the math or whatever, but they can help their children in a much deeper way. And I think through this program, and again, also reaching out to, other resources where they're able to understand their children more, because I think a lot of parents, they too feel like there's this gap.
Right.
There's this gap between, what they know maybe themselves to be at that age and how their children are now. So I feel as if parents too have to be open to communicate with other parents as well. It'd be great if there can be that network that's fostered within the school, because we must have parents who feel much more comfortable. Maybe they can reach out to other parents who don't feel as comfortable, imparting the knowledge to their children. So I think it's important to be open and to be able to communicate those needs and not be ashamed about it, because not every parent necessarily will have that ability to assist their child academically. But I know for certain they can help their child as it relates to them developing their own sense of self. So this program, I think, could help tremendously.
Yeah. And before we go to where we can find this program on Facebook, this Facebook page, and join and get that support, what advice would you give to the SCA students? They're seeing that time is counting down, the exam is almost here. What advice would you give to them?
I want to tell these children that they are and always will be worthy, and regardless of any examination that they are going to take, that is in no way a reflection of who they are and the important contribution they have to make to this world. So I want to encourage them and motivate them. I want to tell them that they will do well. They can think positively, visualize themselves feeling relaxed in the exam, understanding that there is life after SEA, and again, to know their worthiness, and that is really, really important. Self-love is also one of those topics within this program. So I want them to know that it's most important that they love themselves, and of course, their parents have to also impart that to them. So that would be my message, and anyone could locate the Facebook group, Motivate Me to See. That is for this particular Facebook group, and I can also direct them to the SEA 100 ebook, which is at bit.ly/SEA 100. So they can locate those resources there as well.
Nice. Thank you so much, Garlene, for joining us, for sharing with us. This initiative is really amazing and is definitely necessary. You know, unpacking that children need help, and not just the academic help, but that emotional support, that motivation, just as much as adults do. And something you said, you know, it stood out to me. There is life after SEA. So there's life
Indeed.
after the results, you know,
Indeed.
there's life
Indeed.
after that. One more question, because I know we mentioned it both before about, you know, doing SCA and, you know, hoping to pass for a good school. You know, that stigma that's attached to
Of
the
course.
school that you go to.
Of
Just
course.
share with us about that, you know, and you know, understanding that it's not necessarily the school. Yeah.
Yes. You know, they say, there's a saying, bloom where you are planted. And I strongly believe that wherever life takes these young children after SEA, they are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And they can be and do and become anything they desire. Their attitude is what we need to focus on. So regardless of where you go, and of course, we wish all the best to all the students.
Yes.
Just keep in mind that wherever you are there for a reason, and you can learn everywhere and anywhere. And you have to be mindful of what you are bringing to the table and what attitude you're bringing to the table, because that will contribute greatly to your success.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Garlene, and
Thank
talking
you.
to us about Motivate Me to See. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. All the best with this initiative.
Thank you so
We
much.
take
All
a
the
short,
best to you.
thank you. We